Coming up on this episode of Common Denominator.
I say to her, Mommy didn't sleep last night. Why don't you close your eyes? Why don't we take a little nap? I'm thinking the whole time, okay, if we're going to die, we'll die of asphyxiation, and we'll take our last breath in the car.
Hi, and welcome to Common Denominator, where we shine a light on people striving to make the world a better place. Today, community leader, philanthropist, and the survivor of a near-death kidnapping attempt, Susie Levan. In 1988, Susie and her 7-year-old daughter were forced into the trunk of a car at gunpoint. They remained there for 5 hours and almost died. Susie emerged from that ordeal a stronger, more powerful woman, and today she shares her message of hope with anyone in need. So Susie and I just finished our conversation. What really stuck out is not just her story, but she took a horrific experience and she was able to use that as a catalyst to not just heal herself, but to help others. Now, here's my conversation with Susie. Enjoy. Hi, Susie, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Hey, Moshe. Thank you for having me.
So I want to go back to December 21st, 1988, because that is the date that became your drive and your purpose and everything that you do today from that time. So tell us a little bit about the things that happened that day.
Well, that was the day that changed my life forever. A date that I obviously will never forget. And for years, it was I would observe it, if you will, because it was so ingrained in me. So my husband was a banker at the time, and we had just gotten married 90 days earlier. And we were working in the office one evening, December 20th, actually. It was Christmas week. Our family was due to go on a trip, on a vacation. We had a combined family of 5 children, and we decided we would take them to Vail for the Christmas holidays and the school break, etc. So we were all set and ready to go, and the kids were all excited. And I had 2 daughters at the house, and one was actually living on South Beach, and the other one was living at home. She was 7 years old, and she was home with my nanny/housekeeper. So I normally would call home about 6 o'clock to just check in and see what's going on, and tell her what time I'd be home and speak to the housekeeper. And that night I called, and it was a very strange conversation. Strange because there was no communication coming from the other side. I would ask a question, can I speak to Lauren? And the answer was, she's already sleeping. Mind you, it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I'm saying, that makes no sense. Why would she be sleeping? Well, she's sleeping. She wasn't, she was tired. Did she have dinner? Yes. Was she ill? No. So I was getting one-word answers back.
And the motherly instinct always knows everything.
Yeah, there was something in my gut that felt wrong. I knew something wasn't right. I hung up, and I said to my husband at the time, not at the time, I said to my husband, something's not right. Well, what do you mean? And I explained to him the whole conversation. He said, you're such a worrywart. Don't worry about it. She's fine. She probably wasn't feeling well, and she did go to sleep. I said, no, something's wrong. So I really wanted to leave. Meanwhile, we were running a management meeting at the bank, and we're not able to do that. And we were in one car, or else I would have left. About 10 o'clock, we left. We were in Fort Lauderdale driving towards Coral Gables. And meanwhile, we drive to the house, and the house outside is pitch black. There are no outdoor lights on, which, by the way, normally are on. The foyer light is not on. Then we go to the front door, and in those days, you would punch the code on the outside. This is 1988. The alarm's not on. And the minute he puts the key in the door, someone literally pulls him in the pitch black foyer, the man with a gun. And he's wearing all white. He's wearing a wig, a trucker's hat, and sunglasses. I immediately, because I'm now standing behind him, knowing that there's something not right, I take off and start running and start yelling, help, 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 help. Okay. I'm in a community where houses are very far apart. Nobody can hear me, I can assure you. We do have wagon hut cars that do drive around, but those are few and far between by the time they get to your neighborhood. And meanwhile, there were 3 gunmen there, which I didn't know at the time. One of them comes, grabs me, pulls me by the hair, pulls me up we were like up in a little ridge in our parking area, and pulls me into the house. I am literally hyperventilating and clearly crying and wondering, oh my God, this is a home invasion. That's the only thing I can imagine. So they throw us onto the rug on the floor and they say, be quiet. We're not going to hurt you. We're going to tell you what's going to happen in the morning and go from there. Now, mind you, my husband's a CEO of a bank. At the time, I really didn't put 2 and 2 together, but they said that they throw this suitcase on the chair and they go, in the morning, you're going to fill this suitcase up. And this is why we're here. Next thing I say is, where's my daughter? And they told us that she was upstairs. It was a 2-story house. And I ran upstairs to go see her. I calmed myself down a little bit. And then I realized, okay, they're not hurting us. And they're just here for the money at the bank. Next morning, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. They wake us up and they say, get dressed, we're going. They get us to come down the stairs, get dressed, me and my daughter. And I had to go in and get in the car, turn it around in the driveway so that the trunk is facing the front door. And I get out and they said, no, you're going back in the car. So I opened the back seat of the car thinking, okay, it's a 4-door sedan. I'm going in the back seat. They go, no. Hold on. You're going in the trunk. Now my daughter is now outside of the car and I give her a look and it's pitch black outside. So there are no lights on. I say to her, you know what? We're going to play hide and go seek. And I truly believe that was a message from God, from an angel that told me to tell her that, because I would have never imagined me saying that to her. But meanwhile, she's with me. We go into the trunk. They close the trunk and they take off and start driving. And I'm trying to pay attention as to where are we going. They have now taken my watch, my rings, whatever money I had in my purse, which I had just cashed a check for our trip with the kids. And I had no way of knowing how much time has now elapsed. We were getting a little bit of light every time the brake light went on, and oxygen was coming in underneath the bottom of the trunk. I'm thinking, we're going to die in this car. They're going to leave us to die somewhere in the Everglades. I just don't know. All the while, I'm talking to my daughter, telling her stories, singing her songs. They're telling me to be quiet, but I'm trying to keep myself from falling apart and from keeping her from getting traumatized. So that is my goal, is how not to traumatize this child. So if I'm calm, she'll be calm.
What a strong mother.
So I don't know, motherly instincts just take over. Yeah. And you do everything to protect your child, which is literally what I was trying to do. So at some point in time, and I'm talking about a long, long way, and as you know, it's an hour drive from Fort Lauderdale, or Coral Gables to Fort Lauderdale, or wherever the heck they were driving. It's now an hour, 2 hours. My daughter's hungry. She wants to go to the bathroom. We finally stop. They stop. They lock the car. They tell me to be quiet. I'm thinking, this is our coffin. I'm going to die today. We are going to die today. It's now hot. Car is not moving any longer. We can't see anything. It's a musty, dusty, dirty trunk. It's not the best trunk in the world. My husband never kept a clean trunk to begin with. This was his car. And I say to her, Mommy didn't sleep last night. Why don't you close your eyes? Why don't we take a little nap? I'm thinking the whole time, okay, we're going to die. we'll die of asphyxiation, and we'll take our last breath in the car, and we'll be sleeping. Should be easy, should not be painful. I could hear her falling asleep. I could literally hear her breath change, and so I knew she was finally sleeping. I, on the other hand, of course, am not sleeping, and I start praying the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie in green pastures. He leadeth me beside me. And I start praying. Something, of course, I've heard many times at funerals. I figured, this is our funeral. We're dying. And I wanted God and the angels. And I said, God and the angels, literally, if you are here and you are protecting us, please take me. My daughter does not deserve to die this way. And the minute I said that, Moshe, I went literally through a tunnel of light. I am now going at 1,000 miles a minute through this beautiful, magnificent tunnel of light with lights, with colors, with sound. It was something that obviously my whole entire life I'll never forget. The visual of it was, it was like swirling colors. It was amazing. Mind you, I had no idea where I was, what this was, what was going on. And it happened the minute I said, take me, my daughter doesn't deserve to die this way. And now all of a sudden I'm slowing down, and all of a sudden I'm surrounded by beings of light. Beings of light that are talking to me telepathically. They're showing me. I asked, where's my husband? Where's my daughter? Are we dead? They're showing me a little, like a whiteboard, almost like if you were in school, but instead of being a blackboard, it's a whiteboard. And they're showing me on this board my husband, where he's running around in agony and in fear and with a lot of anxiety, trying to find ways to fill this money, this bag with money, because just because he's the CEO doesn't mean he has a key to go open the safe where all the money is. And he was worried that there wasn't even enough money in the safe, and that would be a problem. And so there's a lot going on, and I could see this, visually see him. And I said, is he okay? Can I talk to him? Can he hear me? And they said, no, he can't hear you, but he'll be fine. You're not going to die today. And I said, where's my daughter? And they said, look down. And I looked down, literally looked down, and there we were in fetal positions, and I was holding her, both our eyes closed. But yet I'm here talking to these beings of light. So I was a little confused, if you can imagine. Really hard for me to comprehend.
Out of body experiences, that's they talk about the light, and they talk about, viewing your body. So that's, that's a lot of common conversations on that.
Yeah. But meanwhile, I'm very much alive, and is really more of a near-death experience, because I now have this very powerful energy to my right. And I turn around, I go like this to the right, I look, and it says, I'm Archangel Michael, and I've been with you many lifetimes, protecting and watching over you. Okay, I'm still, even to this day, don't understand all of this and how this all came about. They then give me a life review. After I've now seen Alan, they now give me a life review. It's now my time to be shown my life up to that moment in time. All the things I've said, all the things I've done, all the people I hurt, all the people that I've forgiven, my family, my friends. It was a real eye-opener. And then I said to them, and they're talking to me telepathically. They tell me that I have a lot to do, that I will be sent back, that my purpose in life was going to be empowering women and to teach others how to meditate, none of which I understood or knew much about. As quickly as I was, the whoosh up into this tunnel, I am now literally coming back at the same speed. Now, mind you, both my daughter and I are in the trunk of the car with our eyes closed. We're sleeping. And of course, I'm not sleeping. My body is there. My body, my spirit, my soul is somewhere else. I'm now coming back literally. And then all of a sudden you hear boom. With that thud, with that noise, my daughter wakes up. We both open our eyes. I'm now back in my physical body. It's almost like my soul was trying to figure out how to get back in, or my spirit. And we look up, and now we're inside the trunk. There's now a baseball-size opening in the trunk of the car. We're in a Mercedes. The baseball-size opening where now we could see the sky. We could see wires like telephone wires. We could see clouds. And by the way, oxygen is now gushing in.
I know, and your daughter had the same experience as you. She communicated.
So my daughter's the one that said, "Mommy, what is that?" And I say to her, "Well, Mommy was with God and the angels, and we're going to be okay, and they'll come get us out of here." Because she said, "When are we going to get out of here? Because I'm tired of playing hide and go seek." But she didn't really understand what that was or how it came up. It was like a miracle. It was shown to us to keep us alive, because trust me, we were on the brink of not being able to breathe any further. So at that moment, I started to cry. I just started to cry. It was so amazing. I mean, I just had tears just flowing on the sides of my eyes. And I knew that this was for real. And a little while later, we hear cars careening and noises with the wheels. And they open the trunk, expecting us not to be alive. And they're like in shock. My husband, the FBI, the police, the press, all sorts of people are there. And I turn around when they closed the trunk to show them this opening that was there that saved us. And I'm working on it like I just lost a diamond ring in the sand, and I'm like digging in. P.S. It's not there. Trunk has no opening. It has no baseball size opening. And they grab us and they take us and off we went.
If you don't mind, I it resonates deeply with me. What you were saying, it was a couple years ago when I was, I had my three oldest children, and we were on the highway, and to the left of us was the express lane. So we're going about 65 miles an hour, and there was a car right in front of us, a little bit ahead of us, and then from the express lane, another car. The car had broken through the express lane, and then to the right of me was another car. And I know my mother-in-law wasn't well. She wasn't actually in the hospital at the time. And then everything completely slowed down, because I knew it was me driving, and then my other son in the front seat, my other kids in the back seat. And I said, 100%, there's not enough time for me to hit the brakes. 100%, I'm hitting this car in front of me that just came from the express lane. And I said, wow, while my wife is dealing with, what she's dealing with, that's probably not going to be good to be dealing with this with the kids. So like everything completely slowed down, and I'm about to make impact with this car straight on. I couldn't slow down anything. A second later, I'm just talking about things that actually happened to me personally. That's beyond nature. A second later, my car was ahead of both cars, the one to the right and the one in front of me, and we just continued driving away. I don't know the answers. I don't know what the story is. I don't think any human does. People say whatever they say. But I've had a few of those, but that beyond our logic, beyond our understanding, I've seen that. So tell us. So after all of this experience, so what's life like for you? So you have this. You're supposed to empower women. You're supposed to help people to meditate. So was there trauma in your life afterwards? Was there healing that you had to do? So what was that like for you?
So you would think that having been on the other side, if you will, and experienced a miracle, that I would be back and everything would be just hunky dory, and I would, life would go on as it was. I was chief operating officer of a public company for 16 years prior to that. I lived in a home in Coral Gables for 6 years that my husband moved into. I never went back to work, never went back to my home. I was in literally post-traumatic stress. I was definitely traumatized I could not go back to my home. In fact, we drove up to my home and I passed out in the driveway. I fainted in the driveway. My husband, who was smart enough to know that I needed help, immediately scooped me up, put me in the car, picked up a few things from my bedroom and put me in a hotel. I was in a hotel in the Marriott in Dadeland for like 6 months. Wow. And I was unable to sleep. I was unable to function. Everybody in the family just looked at me from the outside and just assumed that everything was okay, but I was not okay. I couldn't function. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, these people were in my face. I would see the man at the front door with the gun. It was just a loop over and over and over that I could not let go of. And no matter what I tried, and there was nothing to try. I mean, we didn't know what to do. My husband for sure did not know what to do. But he was an angel. He was very patient with me. And it took about a year or two, believe it or not, of me being in this darkness, in this pain. I had Wackenhut guards living. We ended up buying another house. And that house was what I required was 24-hour a day Wackenhut guards outside. So who was in jail but me? I was terrified. I couldn't have anybody over. My daughter's friends became these Wackenhut guards. My husband was responsible for the kids, for driving here, for driving there. I didn't do any of that. One day, he and I had this whole long conversation of what are we going to do? Mind you, I'd only been married 90 days.
Right.
This is not who he was expecting to show up in his life and to be a partner. But I was not any of those things. And all I would do was just cry. And so we decided maybe, somebody recommended a therapist. I drove to the therapist, spent my 1 hour of therapy. I was hysterical when I left there. I knew that was not the person for me. I don't know what hot buttons he hit or what he said, but I just couldn't. So we went back home, and a couple of weeks later, I literally was on my knees and prayed to God and said, God, I know you didn't let me come back, and gave me all these beautiful messages and surrounded me with these beings of light so that I would be living in this darkness. Please send me help. Please give me some help. Tell me what to do. So believe it or not, that night, I actually slept and dreamt that I needed to go somewhere in South Miami to go to a manicurist area, where a manicure location, and get a manicure. And the person sitting next to me would be the person that was going to be the person that was going to help me. It was so vivid. And it was supposed to be on a Saturday about 11 o'clock in the morning. I knew all these things. So, of course, I tell my husband this message that I received, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I know he's going to think I'm losing my mind and I'm Looney Tunes because, I don't even know the name of this place or why I'm going. But you know what? He didn't ridicule me. He didn't, flick me off. He didn't say, forget about it. We're not doing it. He took me. And we went and we sat there. I looked up and I realized while I was driving where it was, because I could see it in my mind's eye where we're supposed to be. I walked up the stairs, made an appointment. They sat me next to this woman. And I talked to her for a minute. I introduced myself and I said to her, hi, my name is Susie. What is your name? She said, Suzanne. I said, and what do you do? And she says, I'm a pastoral counselor and hypnotherapist. So I said, can I have your card? Well, that day I spoke to her for 3 hours when I got home. And she would be the person that was sent to me and directed me. I was directed to work with and to heal me.
What does a hypnotherapist do for people that don't understand?
So a hypnotherapist basically allows you to connect with your subconscious and speak from whatever you need to connect with that and to heal that and to feel that and to hear it on a totally different level. She recorded all of my sessions and connected with the messages that were in fact given to me, that had I not had hypnotherapy, I probably would have never. And so it really it pulled out those messages out of my subconscious. And you have to trust somebody to be able to be hypnotized and allow that to happen. Now, of course, I had never been hypnotized. And through her pastoral counseling, we spoke a lot about spirituality. We spoke a lot about books to read. We spoke a lot about near-death experiences, et cetera. And so she really taught me a lot about what it was that I was shown and I was given.
And I know
about 9 months later, I was able to be back to what I would call normal.
The subconscious guides the consciousness, for sure. I know you became a Reiki master. So also for people that don't know, what is Reiki, and how does that help heal?
So Reiki is a hands-on healing energy where you basically tune into the light on a higher level, and you're just a vessel where you pass that energy to the person, either long distance or in person. And it's very powerful. It's just a hands-on healing modality. As a master, you're able to pass on the process and the energetic ways of doing that. But I went back to school and also became, like my therapist, I became a pastoral counselor and a hypnotherapist, a Reiki master, a life coach, things that I would have never, ever, ever, ever experienced or have done had I not been in this situation. I was being directed to go and do that.
No, I've met people that have, they say that if you don't actively choose your journey, the world will do that for you. And that's what it seems like for you. In other words, this is different than, like you're saying, different than what you would have thought, and you kind of came to this place.
Well, I was a businesswoman. I'd never heard of a near-death experience. I didn't know anything about any of this, metaphysical concepts, if you will. Now I'm totally thrown in it very deeply. By the way, I was also channeling, and I was turning off TVs and radios and telephones and anything that was electronic when I would walk by them. So my body was vibrating at a totally different level. I was channeling beings from other planets and people who had passed. Very odd stuff that was going on for me.
I think, looking back, even the beginning, your natural sensitivity, which you weren't congruent with, I guess, in the beginning. When you're telling me the story, when I'm listening to it, right, the way the nanny was speaking and the lights are not on, that sensitivity. Right. So who are we as humans? Right.
It was an awareness. Yeah, it was an awareness.
And you're generally that way. And I guess becoming congruent with your subconscious and consciousness in a way. And I think
that's a good word. Yeah.
Yes. And I know, part of your mission, right? You have the Women's Wisdom Circle, right?
So
I guess is it for that purpose, to empower women?
100%. Yeah. So I actually created the Work-Life Balance Institute for Women. Mm-hmm. I created Balance Magazine. The Women's Wisdom Circle started to teach women how to meditate. Mm. I created 2 channeled meditations with Stephen Halpern which are free on my website at gettingtoforgiveness.com/meditation, where people can listen to 2 meditation tapes. And I've been very fortunate to just be in tune, if you will, being congruent with what's out there. And I receive lots of information all the time.
Yeah, I have, in my own personal journey, I think that it guides that way. You know, I always like to think of the statistic, which we talked about before the show. You know, no human, we want to have conclusions and we want to know. I think the highest level as a human in this vast world we live in is surrender and acceptance. I think that allows flow, that allows you, in no matter what the factual circumstances that are around you, to move through the world to the best of our ability. That's the way, kind of the way I see it.
Well said. Well said. Mm-hmm.
And I also do appreciate your branding as the Chief Soul Officer. Love that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, you know, our soul is what runs our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional beings, if you will. It's our soul, our spirit. And so for me, I feel like in my company, I'm the Chief Soul Officer.
And what is something that you're grateful for at this moment?
Well, had I not survived, I would not have the opportunity to be with 5 fabulous children, now who I have only 4, unfortunately, but I'm so grateful for them. They are the most wonderful people. They give me so much joy. Amazing. So unfortunately, Lauren, who was 7 years old at the time of the kidnapping, is no longer with us. She passed away almost 5 years ago.
Sorry.
Of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was 3 months away from getting married, and unfortunately did not survive to get married.
I'm really sorry about that.
Everything happens for a reason. I really believe that we do have soul contracts, and we have the opportunity to live our life being directed by that knowing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, definitely. And I know you wrote a book, Getting to Forgiveness. What's the top of your mind, the key takeaway from your book?
Well, there's actually many messages in the book about forgiveness and about meditation, but forgiveness really, most people don't understand forgiveness. For you to forgive others is to forgive yourself. Mm. In the end, that's all you can do is forgive yourself for how you felt. In order for me to heal, I had to forgive myself for how I felt, what was done to me by these perpetrators, right? Yes. By these gunmen. When in fact, had that not happened, I would have not had the joy of receiving these messages from God, Goddess, all that is, from the messages from the beings of light, from Archangel Michael, and from everything that I've received after that. So why would I have to forgive them when in fact they gave me the biggest gift in the world?
That's a very important point. I always think about, it talks about in the Old Testament, the idea of give unto others exactly what you would want to have done unto yourself. And I think of, unfortunately, if we don't have self-love, right, if we don't look inward, right, then we're going to give that reflection onto others. So I always think the first step is to love yourself, right? Love thyself like you, right? Love others like you love thyself. So I think that's
and a lot of folks just think that forgiveness, and if you don't forgive yourself, you can't really forgive anything else in your life, and that's really the truth. Because in fact, what you're doing is you're just pouring acid back into yourself with the resentment and the anger and the pain versus just saying, I forgive myself for how I felt and how I dealt with it. Because if you see what came out from it, on the other side was the biggest gift.
Yeah. I know that.
And, I needed the darkness to get to the light.
It's always
and I didn't realize that I was actually living in the darkness in order to get to the light. And it took years, by the way. This was not 1, 2, 3, snap, you're good to go. It took years because I'm human. And I was stuck in the pain and the anger and the fear and post-traumatic stress. So it took years.
I wanna commend you for where you are today, and the journey, as far as the choice to journey correctly to where you are. So thank you for that, and I want to thank you, Susie, for sharing your story. Really hits home, and I appreciate it, and I do believe the audience will appreciate it as well. How could, if people want to learn more about you and the things that you work on, how can they do that?
Well, we have a website, gettingtoforgiveness.com. If they want to order the book, they can go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, Getting to Forgiveness. Susie Levan. There's a website an email link that they could email me if they'd like to talk to me on my website as well. So I'm more than honored to be on your show. Thank you for thinking of me and for having me on.
Really appreciate
my love and light to you. Everything, life is a journey. It's not the destination.
I know. I've had to learn that the hard way, but I'm, again, grateful for where I am today. So thank you, Susie.
Happy to hear that. Yeah, as I am.
And stay strong. Stay strong. Thank you.
Thank you. I am blessed. I am blessed.
Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Susie. Please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode, and follow me on social media at @Popack. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.